Hi, Bree. This is Dick Cox with Lindy Sports and Cox Sports Broadcasting. When I was coaching, I always loved to have a player like you who could do so many things. Describe what you feel like your strong points are and actually what your role to the team is.
I feel like sometimes it can get confusing what your role is in the beginning of the season, but throughout the season you start to figure it out. And for me, it's like being the glue. I don't necessarily have to score, but I have to make sure like I'm also a leader, whether I'm a captain or not. I have to make sure people are in the right position. I have to make sure I'm yet doing my role, which is, stopping that person I'm guarding from scoring and making sure I'm in those helping lanes. I'm rebounding, I'm crashing the boards, I'm getting put back. So definitely the little things I feel like is my role.
All right, we will next go to Joe Gorchow with WIS TV. Joe, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, Brea, Joe Gorcho, WIS TV in Columbia. Just building off of that, has it been difficult at times maybe to embrace doing the little things and maybe not always getting the accolades for it?
I think definitely, I say last year was probably like the biggest wall I've hit because, in high school, everybody says like you come out, you're this top leading scorer. And then now, like in college, you're surrounded by, leading scorers. So it's just always got to have something else. There's something else you got to fall back on because, yeah, every now and then I'm going to have a game where I'm scoring, but, what else? What more is there? So definitely now, like I'm more comfortable with, being able to rebound, defend, and then score when need to be.
All right, we will next go to Mitchell Brown. Mitchell, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, Bree, it's Mitch Brown, Watch Fox in Columbia, South Carolina. Coach just said that you have this ability to always be able to be cool, calm, and collected, no matter the situation. And she said that's just part of your DNA. What makes you always cool, calm, and collected, no matter the situation?
I think the biggest thing is like trying not to get too high with the highs and lows with the lows. Just stay, just even playing field. And I think that's big for me. It just keeps me, like you said, like just calm and able to continue doing what I need to do.
All right, we will next go to Greg Hadley. Greg, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, Bree, it's Greg Hadley with the State Newspaper. I was just curious, you're known to be a very strong defensive player. How much have you seen this team's defensive identity grow over the course of the season from where you guys started to where you are now?
I think definitely as a team, like we know we can score, we know we can get, any shot on the floor, but we have to be able to stop teams from scoring. We play teams that are, reaching the 80s at the final points of the game. So we definitely have to lock in the scoring. We're big, we're long, and, we're fast. We have to be able to use that at our advantage.
All right, we will next go to Keith Alsep. Keith, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, Bree. So building off that first question about offensively, obviously you came out of high school, Illinois 3-time player of the year. And we've seen games earlier this year, back-to-back against Vanderbilt and then number 15, Arkansas at the time, where you had back-to-back career highs. How do you stay confident in your offensive game, and do you feel yourself becoming hesitant to take shots because, we've seen teams, kind of slump off of you and leave you open? I mean, do you feel like at any time you can make them pay, whether it's from three or off the bounce?
I think definitely my biggest thing is I let the game come to me. I don't really think about, scoring because, like I said, when it comes to defense and stuff, that's where I gain my confidence. If, I'm getting steals, getting in the pass lane, rebounds, that's where the confidence comes for, the offensive side. So when I had those games like that, I let the game come to me. I didn't really force the issue because when I tend to force the issue, things don't really tend to go my way. So, and definitely when it comes to the teams playing off of me, I can get that shot at any time of the day. So, when it's time for me to take that shot, I will be able to, and I will be ready.
All right, we'll next go to Chantel Jennings. Chantel, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, Brea, this is Chantel Jennings with The Athletic. I'm just curious because through your recruitment and your playing career, Carolina has always been a really elite program. But it wasn't always that way, even in Dawn's first few years in South Carolina. That team didn't make the tournament. I'm just curious, does she ever talk about those days or reference those days when that South Carolina wasn't necessarily the South Carolina that you know?
I think not necessarily. I feel like for her, she takes it one day at a time. We don't really mention the past. We just keep pushing. Like we hardly mentioned last year, and last year was like a great year for us, even though it was cut short, sadly. But we like to keep in the present and keep pushing for future accolades.
All right, we'll go back to Joe Gorchild. Joe, you can unmute yourself.
Bree, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dawn was talking about this the other day. I think you're the eldest sibling in your family. And I'm wondering, just growing up, how do you think that shaped kind of your demeanor as a leader, being the eldest in your family? And how many siblings again do you have?
I have 3 younger brothers, and I feel like for me, it was always like watching over them. I was like I always tell my mom, like I'm the second mom. Like I always make sure they're doing what they need to do. And I guess that does play a little role when it comes to like our freshman. I love looking after her, making sure she's in the right position and, messing with her all the time.
All right, we'll next go to Cheryl Cord with Hoop Feed. Cheryl, you can.
Hi, this is Cheryl Coward from Hoop Feed. Your team has played 28 games. You have a rotation of about 10 players in this season where many teams had multiple COVID pauses and some teams stopped playing altogether. Does it seem surreal to you that your team has even made it to this point from this rough season?
I feel like as a team, collectively before the season, we made sure one of another, like, we're taking care of each other, we're safe. Like, we wanted to be in this position. Like, we're talking about this in the beginning of the year. We didn't want to be one of those teams where, we're putting each other at risk. We didn't want to be one of those teams that, had to drop out because of, COVID situations. So we definitely made sure we're in the best position possible.
All right, we'll next go to Greg Hadley. Greg, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, Brea, I was just curious. I know, you often draw that assignment of guarding the other team's best player. When that happens, how much are you kind of just focused, locked in on that one particular matchup versus, say, communicating with your teammates, trying to coordinate with the overall defense?
I think I just love having that assignment. I don't know, it's just fun to me, it's just fun to, guard somebody who's like offensively just, good at putting the ball in the basket. But, guarding them, it just gets my other teammates involved, gets them active, gets them going, and steals, rebounds, just being able to, lock in on D.
All right, we're going to go to the last question here to Matt Dow. Matt, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, Bree, Georgia Tech is having an amazing season so far this year. They really stepped it up for their program. They clawed through the first round and had a big win second round. What are they doing so well that's going to make this Sweet 16 game a challenge?
I think, every team is we all want one thing, which is the national, title. So I think every team is clicking together. This is the time of year where, it's really no space for mistakes. So you can expect them to play collectively as a team.